Kutoka vijijini, mijini hadi jijini. Hii ni Sound Kanti Talk Live. Tunaingia vijijini, mijini na hata jijini kukuletea taarifa mchana kutwa. Usiku tunaketi kitako, tunadadavua tukichanganua taarifa na makala muhimu yanayokuhusu wewe na familia yako. Ungana na Bernard Ngozi kwenye Open Forum Political Show kuanzia saa 4 usiku hadi dakika zake kila siku ya wiki kwenye
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for making time to join us. This is Sound Candy Talk Open Forum Political Discussion Show, the show that gives you an opportunity to air what you feel and think about the latest development on our political front. Well, a lot has gone down today as different political players pulled shots in their own direction. Top on the same is the issue of church donations back again into our political discussion by William Ruto going against his own word and is now trying hard to justify his contribution to church donations, whereby he was at the Winners Ministry today, Jesus Winners Ministry today in Nairobi, where he donated 20 million and pledged 100 million for a church building. Now, this has stirred up a discussion on what is going on. After the Catholic Church returning the money donated by William Ruto, is it that the Pentecostal churches are now playing differently? Is William Ruto again laying a foundation of wooing the church in his corner through donations and buying the church so that he can, of course, use it as a premise for his political maneuvers? Is this how things should be done? Well, I invite your input as we start the conversation. I need you to weigh on the same. While that is going on, Raila in the coast today, slamming the government over the SHA disputes, or rather SHA problems, in that is to do with the Social Health Authority, where the health sector, the education sector, as well as rampant corruption are alive and kicking in the government, and that is why Kenyans are suffering. So Raila is calling upon the government to do what they are supposed to do and not hold on excuses of failing to do what they are required to do. At the same time, William Ruto admits that there are problems with SHA. And so after going around the country and, of course, preaching that SHA is working, he finally throws in the towel and admits SHA is not working, but they are working on it so that it works. As the other opposition leaders are talking of sickness does not wait. So how long are we supposed to wait for SHA to be fixed so that Kenyans can receive health care rightly? Well, that will also be part of what we'll be discussing, as well as this thorny issue of abductions. This thorny issue of abduction, it seems not to be going away. and families are suffering from the records of the human rights and these activists. We have 17 families that cannot trace their loved ones since these abduction issues started. And then there are other revelations coming up of a particular stadium in Western Kenya where abductors are taking abductees and killing them, then throwing them into River Nzoia. Well, we will also be diving into that as we seek a lasting solution to all this. Now, when all this is happening, it is alarming that we seem not to be drawing any lessons from our past. It appears the Kenya Kwanza administration wants to prove a point where there is no point. Because if you can't guarantee healthcare, you can't guarantee education, you can't guarantee security, what are you doing in office? And why should you be voted again to stay in office? That is a big question that Kenyans need to respond to, because these coming elections, we need to go into them with our heads and not just our hearts, and not just our liking of our man or our community. I think we need some deep thinking before we place anybody in the seat of high power. Well, I want to appreciate everybody who is joining from wherever you are. Thank you so much for choosing Sound Candid Talk. I will be taking us through the discussions as I wait for you to join into the discussion. And I'm still on my medical rest, so will not stay long, but because my guys will be resuming tomorrow, I said having failed to do the show yesterday, we have to have a discussion today, and then of course we'll be proceeding with the other team as they report back to the studio tomorrow. Well, thank you, everyone. I look forward to having a great time with you as we dive into this discussion. I can see William Adilo. Thank you so much for being here. Melkio Ogola, thank you. Watching directly from Norway. Asante sana. Kuna Mangi Evans. Hello to you. Thank you so much for joining. And the link to use to get in the studio is already in the comment section. Please make use of it. Get into the studio and let's have this conversation. Thank you. I can see Mr. Guru is already here. Well, we're beginning with that story of church donations. And is it church donations or it is bribery? It is trying to blindfold the church again and we talk them into following a wrong path. Or what is it? We'll be looking at that. And then, of course, mambo mengine pia yapo. Kuna mnatembea ponea chupuchupu wana matanga ya Malulu huko Malawi. Wanasema hawataki watu ambao hawaungi mkono serikali. Now, that is another issue that we're going to discuss. We seem to have the KANU youth wing that used to do zoning in the past, those of you that are old enough, that certain politicians should not go in certain places because they are perceived to be regions of source of a group of political persuasion. That is a big issue that we will need to look at extensively. And then, of course, there are also claims by Gachagua that the only lifeline that the William Ruto administration has is Raila Odinga. And so if Raila Odinga pulls out, that is the end of the Ruto administration. How true is that? And of course, how long will that hold? Well, karibuni sana tunapoanza mazungumzo yetu. Let's start with the church donations as our main story.
Straight into politics now, and President William Ruto has today broken his silence on the challenges facing his government's healthcare program, assuring Kenyans that the troubled Social Health Authority will eventually work. President Ruto also chided sections of the Christian church in Kenya over its stance on donations from politicians. This, as the president gave, get this, 20 million shillings to a church named Jesus Winner Ministry in Roysambu, right here in the nation's capital. We get more from our very own Ayub Abdul Kadir.
High on spirit and drawing from biblical analogies, President William Ruto finally spoke on his administration's struggling healthcare program, admitting to the congregation that all was not well with the Social Health Authority.
Kwa sababu it is the biggest program tuko nayo kwa taifa la Kenya, pengine itachukua muda ishike laini, lakini believe you me, it is going to work. Believe you me.
And roping in the divine, the president kept his reassurances coming.
Tunaamini Mungu, Kenya hii itabadilika.
The head of state further invoked God's name as he claimed his critics wanted him to fail.
Na kwa sababu kuna watu walikuwa wametuwekea mitego mingi, kwanza mimi, mitego mingi. Asipoangukia hapa, ataangukia pale. Asipoangukia hapa, ataangukia pale. It is not what you are saying. It is God's favor upon our nation.
And in a reversal of his own directive issued in the aftermath of the Gen Z demonstrations last year, the president took a new stance on church donations.
Najua nimelaumiwa mara nyingi sana kwa mambo ya matoleo kanisani. Ninyi mnajua.
No state officer or public servant shall participate in public contributions or harambee going forward.
Wakati tunamtolea Mungu, hatumpatii binadamu. Si ndio? Matoleo tunayotoa sio kwa sababu tunampatia Bishop Mwai. Hatupatii congregation hii, tunampatia Mungu. Mimi mwenyewe nitatoa milioni 20 kwanza.
And 3 months after the Catholic Church rejected his donation, the head of state chided the clergy.
Mimi nimejaribu sana kutafuta kwa Biblia. Na mimi ni msomi wa kiasi wa Biblia. Nimejaribu kutafuta mahali inasema ati ukimpatia Mungu unarudishiwa na askofu. Iko mahali. I am a product of giving to God. And I am unapologetic about giving to God.
Ayub Abdikadir, Citizen TV.
Mambo ni kama hayo. Nashukuru kila mmoja anayejiunga nasi. Naomba tafadhali chukue mstari wa mbele kukaribishana. Mambo ni kama hayo. William Ruto akijaribu kujitetea kuhusu masuala ya matoleo kanisani. Hiyo pia itakuwa mada kali ambayo lazima tuiingilie kwa kina. Ningefurahi sana Bishop Kanali angetujoin naye atufafanulie andiko hilo ambalo William Ruto anajaribu kulitafuta kwamba akitoa anatolea Mungu atolei mwanadamu. Sasa mwanadamu akimrudishia sasa inakuwa ngori. Mr. Guru, thank you. You're here, the first person. How are you today?
I'm fine, Bernard. How are you doing?
Yes, you can. Great. Welcome. We can hear you. Go ahead.
How is the Sunday?
Sunday is full of many things. The politics seem to be running church nowadays.
Yeah, sure. Bernard, I think matters where they are getting in Kenya, they are reaching a point of absurdity, if not insanity. Here is somebody who used the church, deceived many, sneaked into power with very many promises. And because he's found that he doesn't have strong politicians to get him back to the mountain, he's now devised a way of making the other clergy who had started running away from him to have an appetite for calling him to their churches. When you hear those big figures, what he's doing indirectly, and this I want to say without any contradiction, is to send a message to other clergy in the Mount Kenya that the financial handouts will be even bigger this time, and that if they call him to their churches, he will come with big monies and then auction the congregation that attend these churches. Bernard, you know, I think this man does not understand the people of the mountain. I now agree he does not understand. I can tell you this without batting an eyelid. Money will be taken. In fact, he's going to be called to so many churches in central Kenya that you cannot imagine. He's not going to have any time to rest. But you know what? This time, he will not get the votes. That you can take to the bank. But money, he will bring money. That is because the people of the mountain are very interesting people. They will even fake friendship if they have to survive. And that's how most of them survived during Moi era, by the way. There are quite a number of millionaires who made money out of the situation that was there during the Moi era by just faking friendship. They know how to maneuver their way and get what they want, especially in material means. But when it comes to the vote, not unless he devises another method, he will not get hata pata. Hiyo nakwambia kwa sababu mimi natoka pale na najua watu wetu. Anyway, let him try. It's good. Let those churches that will be lucky enough to have their structures improved, it will be fine. No problem. And that's why we said a hotel has been opened. We shall eat to the full. And we cannot have any regrets about that one. Because people even know now that this is the same money that they are taxed. This is the money that they are harassed to contribute. So there is no pain that they feel. It's just a way of getting back what belongs to them. After failing to divide the mountain into east and west, now he has found that he can get through the church once more. But you know what? The mainstream churches, especially the Catholic, has taken a firm stand against such donations. So not unless now he goes for the raw end man and wife outfits. That's what I call them, because their posters normally reflect a man and wife smiling wildly on their doors to attract people. those are the kind of people they are going to interact with, and it's okay. Watch out there, ifunguliwe. There is nothing wrong with that. We welcome him in those churches, and you'll be given an opportunity to talk. When he leaves, like it used to be during Moi's time, people will walk home as they discuss, and they will affirm what their stand is. The only way to avert the wrath, the political wrath in Mount Kenya is hazy. I don't see any formula. Unfortunately, once the people of Mount Kenya have made up their mind, like they did with the Uhuru, they don't go back. That's the only problem. It's done. It is kaput. Let him look for votes elsewhere. And it does not matter. People are even openly saying they have no problem of going to the opposition. It's okay, it's fine. But being coerced, being subdivided, being done or what, they will not. These are people who have come through generations of resistance. These are the children of Mau Mau. They don't retreat once they take a step in the direction that they want to move. However, and this is something else that I think the man is very worried about. The people of the mountain are not saying they want one of their own. They just want to diversify and give another Kenyan, apart from that one, an opportunity to rule this country. And this time, it may be the top 2 seats. And that's it. So when you hear of the Kamba coming and joining us, they know what they started to gain, and the people of the going towards Isiolo, they have also made up their mind. So let's wait and see how it works. And I said this: if the next elections, the ideology of the Gen Zs does not work, this is going to be the most tribal elections that Kenya has ever had, because there are those like the Kamba, they feel frightened. They have supported a certain political formation for 15 years. They are saying obviously that they see they have been misused. So you can imagine that those kind of feelings being coalesced into a political movement from that community. Then you have the Raja Mount Kenya, which also feels frightened because they supported a formation that is not answering to their needs, and many other things. There are many factors. So we only pray that in all these formations, in all these political movements, that Kenya will be one, and that as much as possible, there will be interaction across the country to get the best formula, to get the best leader. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Guru. And listening to you, I get a feeling that these elections will be about paying back. That is, the people who have been misused want to get back to those who have misused them. Oh,
Inevitably. Inevitably. That's what it is headed.
Gosh.
Yeah.
So, take it.
Bernard, I don't want to cheat you here and talk the good, sweet nothings. I'm talking about the hard political reality, the real politique of the Kenyan interactions. We don't hate each other.
Mr. Guru, just a moment.
Yes.
Especially on the issue of the Kamba supporting a particular formation, and they are demanding to be supported, and probably they may not be supported. That's a language that I get with the, especially Wamunyoro. Okay, he goes to the to Western Kenya and says the Luyas have supported not their own. They need to support their own. So can we say that the wind of tribalism is blowing from the mountain going to the rest parts of the country? And if that is the approach, are you people ready for the retaliation of the other side of the country? Because if we are blowing from the mountain and we are asking everybody to go to their tribes, are we prepared to also be treated the same?
You see, Bernard, that nobody fears that, by the way, and it has always been like that. And there's no pretense here. Ruto spent most of his time wooing the Mount Kenya. In fact, not unless you want to pretend, at least 80% of the campaigns that he did in the last elections were done around Mount Kenya. And the fact is because he knew the vote bank that he would get, and then go add with his community, and then pockets of other communities across the country. That is what precisely happened. And that is why you can see immediately he panicked that Mount Kenya has left. He actually packed the cabinet shamelessly with 3 other cabinet ministers from the same community that he was complaining that there is tribalism. He packed in Ri Kenyajui, Mutai Kagwe, and Kabogo William. So you can see you are blaming Wamunyoro for nothing. In fact, the only sin that Wamunyoro may have is that he's mouthy about what is happening. Otherwise, these are the practices that are there, and there's nothing you can do about them.
Guru, I will get back to you. There is something we can do about it. Correct what is wrong. We cannot uphold something simply because it's been done. But we will get back to you. I can see, and everybody, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for being here. I can see Msimamo is here, Lala, kuna Mkenya mmoja, lakini msikilize mama kwanza, alafu tumkaribishe Msimamo. Mama, karibu, hali vipi?
Okay, salama sana Bernard. Na pole kwa na utasikia poa. We really missed the show, but it is okay. Kusikia vile Nguru wamesema, it's right. Kura ya Mlima inakuanga decided the last minute. But I want to tell him this. Wanasema usipochora utachorewa. Moi ndio alijua hakuna kura anapata ya Kikuyu hata moja. And because he wanted Kenyans, ama alitaka neutralize. That is what Ruto is doing. Ruto kwenda Central ama kwenda Judge, usifikiria hiyo ndiye anataka, kwa sababu wakati mambo itafanyika, Ruto atakuwa na ile 40% ya Raila ile anapatanga, ama 2 million aongeze na kura yenye anataka. Ya pili, nikisikia vile wanaongea au viongozi wanataka kutoa Ruto penat, wanategemea CNC. They don't have a agenda. Wanasimama Machakos wanasema CNC chukua kura, sijui CNC. Now, wakati unaongea kuhusu CNC na unasema Ukambani na Central wakishikana, Kenya mzima ingine Ruto anaendelea kuwaongelesha, kutendea yale yanatendea. Unajua ukabila, unajua usiseme msichana anakupenda na ujui. You are showing other Kenyans. Hata Kasongo angeisha kabisa, angekuwa anaenda. But kulingana na vile mnaendelea kuonyesha wa Kenya, hapo ndio mahali watu wataanguka. Na wewe wacha nikwambie, yeye anafanya hiyo kanisa. Leo alikuwa huko, mnasema hata kanyaka. Yeye anakuja kuonyesha is the president, na anapitia hiyo kanisa si kwa sababu anataka kura, anataka kuonyesha is still there. Let that one not be on me today. Nimeona Machakos vile kanisa iliendelea, nasikia vile viongozi wanaongea. What is the mission of these people? Wengine wanasema we cannot vote Gachagua, tunataka aendelee kuongea yale mambo anaendelea kuongea. Anasema Kasongo ni muongo, yeye pia ameonekana ni muongo mara 100. Let me tell you this, 2.5 years penalty. Watasunguka saa hiyo, hataki kujoin mtu. Kalonzo anasimama, Kalonzo wa Kikuyu sasa wapana, wameenda kwa Matiangi, kijana ya CNC hakuna, sijui hiyo yote. Kalonzo Kasongo ana prepare. Saa hii, for example, baba anaendelea kuconsult. You don't know what he consult. Anajua ile vitu wa Kenya wataki. Na vile watu wengi wanasema penalty, kama Kasongo atasurrender mambo mingi kama hii ya SHA, unasikia baba ameongea mambo ya adoption, ameongea. Kuna vitu mingi serikali ilikuwa imeharibu. Wakipata chance kutengeneza, na waambia wa Kenya vile Uhuru alisema, for example, kuambia wa Kenya kama Kenya kila kitu itakuwa mzuri. Sababu anaitwa nani sasa, Kasongo amejua, na hata amesema kanisani leo, he is aware of what is going on in Kenya and still is in the power. Baba akimshikilia kidogo na ile mambo inafanyika isimame, na Gachagua aendelee kusema mlima si Kenya. Kenya ni kubwa kushinda mlima as for now. Kama mtaambia, uambie Waluya simameni, ambia Wakisii msimame, ambia Waluya mulete yenu, Wajaluo mkae na Raila, Kalenjin wanaenda wapi? Kabla sile singine imenyamaza, wanaenda wapi? Anyway, penalty, tuko na miaka 2 ya kuona. Tunataka nchi yetu ikue kitu moja, lakini wale wanafikiria they are big brothers of Kenya. Wale wanafikiria bila hawa Kenya iwezi simama. Kenya ijaipata ndume ya kuonyesha watu wanaweza lipa taxes kila mtu. Hiyo mwanaume ni jeuri, ni kaidi. Kama Moi ilimshinda Moi na alikuwa rais, alikuwa na chapa watu kofi akiwa State House. Ruto ndiye unakaa chini kama kama alichukua kitu Uhuru akiwa naye na akakimbia ni sahi ako naye kwa meno yake, ndio mnachipanga na kusema
alipewa na Wakikuyu na wamekamkataa.
Kikuyu ni kusema nini? Kikuyu ni kitu kidogo, wacha nikwambie as for now. Wakikuyu ni binadamu.
Oda kidogo, nataka ngoja kwanza tafadhali. Nataka we are degenerating into tribal exchange other than having
CNCs kama wanategemea CNC na CNC hawana kura, na mwenye kupeana kipande ni Ruto. Mwenye kupeatia watu kipande si Gachagua, si Martha Karua, si Kalonzo.
Mimi nataka tuelewane hapa, okay? Tuko katika hii nchi wote pamoja. Kinachoharibika hapa kina affect kila mmoja, awe Mkikuyu, awe Mkale, awe saa hii tukienda sukari ilikuwa imefika 150, saa hii ni 175, okay? Imeanza kupanda.
Mambo ungeambia
dola. No, ngoja mami, I'm just you are responding before I place my question. That now means we are not communicating, okay? Whatever goes wrong with this country affects all of us. It may be in different proportion, but we all suffer in some way, especially when it touches on the leadership. Now, there is a mode of how people get into leadership. And bad leadership has its consequences. These consequences we are all suffering. And we are here to look for the best way out. And the approach you people are offering us will not help. Because if every one of us will go back to their tribes, we are going to vote the way we voted 97, the way we voted 92, okay? Which is everybody voted for their person. My first voting was then. I voted for Wamunyinyi. I didn't know who is Wamunyinyi. I had no idea what is Wamunyinyi, okay? But because he had a name that similar to my village, I voted MP Wamunyinyi, President Wamalwa Kijana, so I don't know. I mean, it was everybody voting for their community. And at the end of the day, Moi was in office as early as 10 in the morning because everybody retracted back into their community. So what I would want us here to engage over is not for us to uphold what is wrong. We should uphold what is right. Tuko na mambo ambayo yamefanyika ambayo si hayafai kuwa yanafanyika lakini yamefanyika. Tukiyashabikia, what we are saying is our constitution means nothing, our law means nothing. Watu watumie kifua. What is the outcome? We are going to have 2007, 2008 repeat. Okay? And this time, there may be no calling back. So what I want us to do here is, can we help the situation other than degenerate the situation and make it worse than it is already? The approach of Wamunyoro and the people of the mountain, they must be told that these are the consequences of the path you have taken. Okay? So that they understand this is what we want. Like waliambia Uhuru, sisi tumekubali mwizi wetu. Uhuru akasema mnacheza na moto. Wakasema hapana, sisi tumechagua hii. So we want them to have an understanding that this path you have taken of saying ni mlima na lazima mlima ndio itaamua na watu wa mlima ndio wataamua. Basi hawa watu wengine nao wakisema ninyi mkikusanya kwa kona yenu, sisi tujikusanye kwa kona yetu, itakuwaje? Okay, you have 6 million votes. According to our records, the IEBC records, we have 19 million registered voters. So 6 million out of 19 zinabaki ngapi? 13. Okay, so hizi 13 zikienda kujiunga pamoja kinyume na 6 itakuwaje? Now, after the voting, how are we going to live together thereafter? So let's understand this so that when we accept it and push it, we understand the consequences thereof. I'm not advocating for violence, but I don't encourage tribalism. Our competition should be on what is good for Kenya. That's the whole essence of even us meeting here every night to discuss a better Kenya for all Kenyans. Lakini sehemu moja ikuwe favored, sehemu ingine itengwe. That's the Kenya we have had for 60 years. It has not worked. It has failed. We shouldn't encourage it. So please, let's not compete on tribes that the Kalenjin are going to combine with the Kambas, and the Kambas are going to combine with the Mijikendas, and they are going to be voting against the Kikuyus. Let's get into serious national political parties. Let's have competition among political parties. Let's compete around ideologies. Let's walk away from tribalism. If tribalism is good and it helps us politically, how come we have had it for 60 years if it has not worked? So let's get the game up above tribalism, please. Thank you. Back to Mami, please. I'll have to msikilize Lal.
Okay, Bernard, I was answering a question. Yenye Nguru amesema Mount Kenya na Ukambani, they are talking one. Ya kwamba Ruto hata akienda kanisa wamefungua hoteli. Nikamwambia ndio, hata wakati ya Moi walikuwa wanafungua hiyo hoteli. Lakini ikifika wakati ya kura hawakuzuia Moi kufanya nini? Kuenda Central. Na watu mara mingi walijua they cannot vote for Moi. But kwa sababu Moi alikuwa na hisabu yake, huwezi tenga nchi. Akawa anaenda Central na akawa anatafuta kura zake mali ingine. So mimi sikukuja na mambo ya kusema Ruto amekawanya ama amefanya. Nilikuwa na chipu nguru kusema sasa munasema munategemea CNC. Nikauliza group yote wanasema CNC penalty. Na CNC wakitendewa vile wanataka. CNC wanasema they are partyless, tribalist, hata si lazima wanataka kuona governance. Pora inji imeendeshwa pora. That was my question. And yes, mtu kusema Mama Selina unielewi sahi. Ukweli huwezi kunielewa kulingana na vile mambo inaendelea Kenya. Siwezi kukua what I'm not. Tukienda hivyo kama watu wengine wakiongea kuhusu, by the way, natetea afadhali hata leo nimetetea Ruto. I've never tetea Ruto. Mi huwa natetea baba. And I'm not a Luo. But today hata nikitetea hiyo Ruto iko sawa. Wow, iko shida. Hii channel ni ya watu ya Ruto, watu ya baba, watu ya Wamunyoro, watu ya Nakenya, watu ya kila mtu. Inalingana na yale maoni unalete. Lakini kwa sababu nisichukue nafasi mingi, nataka kuambia msimamo pole kwa yale ilitendeka. Hivyo tu ndiye nataka kusema. But again, tuko hapa kuongea 2 years in the line. Tutaona yale mambo inasemekana. Mtu akiwa na SWOT ako naye. Kama alichukua wakati Uhuru alikuwa na kunywa State House, yeye akunywi. Kwa hivyo anajua hiyo kitu inaweza tolewa. Atafanya juu chini, ajue vile anachunga kwa kufanyia Wakenya kazi. Hayo tunaweza sema.
Okay, thank you, Mami.
I was mentioned, and I have a right for rebuttal. I did not say that is the ideal politics. I'm just reporting to you what the communities are saying, Bernard. The Kamba feels frightened by ODM. They expected a payback. On the other hand, their cousins who supported the government feel frightened because what they were promised. Me, I never voted for Kasongo. I never voted for Wirumbaru.
And but who are the cousins? And who are the cousins? Tell us the cousins.
Can we stay in order, please? Stay in order. Let me do the point. Mama, tafadhali, naomba hivi. Wacha malize point. Kama unataka kujibu, utapewa nafasi. To create noise, we are confusing the people who are viewing. They can't follow the discussion. And that way we are doing counterproductive.
Let me repeat again.
Please repeat. And
I am saying,
yes,
the Kamba community feels frightened because to them, they expected a payback after 3 consecutive support for Baba. The people in Embu, Meru, Kikuyu communities are dissatisfied that what they were promised by that government, which they voted for, and which I did not vote myself, that they have been betrayed. So you are having 2 communities. No, now they have even been handed, bringing the total of the vote back to about 40%. And because of that, the other thing that is being worked on right now is to reach out to others. So already a force is there. And because of that, today you heard what Gachagua said. If today Baba was to switch off, he's actually floating on the balloon of Baba. Baba is the one who is keeping him afloat. If he just switches off, he is in the ICU. Baba is the lifeline of the government right now. So if he just withdraws, hii serikali itakuwa na shinda nyingi sana. And it's a fact. So what we are saying here, let's not beat about the bush. The fact of the matter is that communities have always defined our politics. And I'm not saying it is the ideal thing, but it is what the politics is. And that is why, first of all, Kasongo started by consolidating his community and reaching out to Mount Kenya so that he can win the 2022 general elections. Today, hiyo hesabu imeharibika. And he's relying on communities that voted for Baba. Unfortunately, Sasa Baba is also under trap, because if you hear what he said today, I think he's found the ground so hot because of the problems that people are going through. He doesn't know how to wriggle out of it. And that's why he has to issue a statement to assure the supporters that he's not abandoned them. He's not just going to join the government, so that those things are not worked on. The issues of abduction, the issues of poor health, the issues of lack of funding for education, the issues of crumbling institutions. Okay? Even up to now, there are those who think that Baba will bolt out like he did to Kanu in 2002 and leave Kasongo high in the air, floating without any support anywhere. Take that to the bank.
Now, Wanaguru, we hear you, but I want us to have to progress, because we are not even doing justice to the to the topic of the day. The issue of church, the resurgence of the church donations, according to you, is a message to Mount Kenya. This is what you will be missing if you deny me from coming to church. I heard that from you. I didn't see that. But if Mount Kenya is that important in terms of the Ruto buying the church from Mount Kenya to create that perception, or rather that support that seems not to be existing, we will, I think, wait and see. Wait and see. Wanasema hela zinavunja mlima. Sasa si kama hela zipo basi zitatumika kuvunja mlima, na mlima mlisema isiguzwe, imeguzwa. Sasa tusubiri tuone kama hela itafanya ama itafanya. Ngoja kwanza, Bwana Guru, we'll get back to you. Ngoja kwanza, it's 50 minutes in the show. 50 minutes in the show. Mkenya amekuwa ngegoja, lala ngoja. Wacha waangamue kwanza, tunarudi kwako. Thank you, please.
Can I say the point before they come? Just a second. You see, we cannot compare the Moi era with this era. There is a 50+1. That time Moi won with 35%, and 65% were against him, but they were undefined. So you can see the dynamics have changed in Kenya. So nobody can come here to tell us, oh, Moi ruled without this community or the other. The dynamics have changed.
But with that change, I don't see it as a solid ground to stand on, especially when you're going for a competitive elections like this. The 50+1 is required, yes. And if it is not attained, you just work hard to make sure you're either 1 or 2. And then the rest, will be left to choose which side to take. So that should not be a big deal, okay? I just make sure I even, Ruto can make sure that he becomes second. He lets you become one and then second. Then when we go for the second round, they've been to be changing. So
then you'll be drafted properly.
Let's see how it plays. Thank you. Lala, ulikuwa unasemaje? Lala, we can't hear you, your audio. I think Lala has issues with his audio. Please organize it. I think we check it. You are unmute, but we can't hear you. Mkenya mmoja, hali vipi?
Poa sana Bernard.
Karibu.
Asante. Wacha nianzie hapa kwa church. Unajua Ruto, hii mtego yake ya church, hata Wakenya tunafaa kuiona. Hizi sadaka mbona hazipeleki huko kwetu Kisii? Zinaenda tu huko mlimani. Inamaanisha hapa kwa mlima, hata kama sisi sometimes tunasema hizi kura za mlima si muhimu, hizo kura ni muhimu kweli kweli. That's why Ruto anazitafuta. Now, if you look at this amount of money yenye Ruto anatoa, kama hii sasa the total promise of 120, it is the amount yenye CDF kwa constituencies zinapewa. So ukitumia mfano kama constituency kama Kiaru, what that money can do. Kwa hivyo inamaanisha saa hii sasa kuna constituency moja kama ametoa 120, inamaanisha kuna constituency moja itakosa pesa za CDF. Unaona hiyo maneno? Haya sasa.
Kwani anatoa treasury? Si anatoa kwa mfuko, hiyo ni sadaka?
Wapi bana? Hujasikia kuna 1.3 trillion watu wame withdraw wakaenda kulipa nayo mishahara, kulipa nayo recurrent expenditure. Na hizi pesa tuliambiwa ziko kwa makontena mahali hapa hii Nairobi.
Sawa, endelea.
Sasa nakuambia, but sometimes mimi nakwanga critique wa Gachagua, but hata wiki ijaisha, hata siku 3 hazijaisha, Gachagua alituambia hapa kuna pesa zimewekwa kwa makontena hii Nairobi na zitaanza kutoka, na aka insist kwa watu wa community, akakwambia hizo pesa zikikuja mzichukue. Leo umeona kenye imefanyika, ameanzia tu hapo Roysambu 20 kwanza zishachukuliwa. Ile maneno the next statement sasa naanza kukubaliana na Gachagua. Kwa hii miaka yenye imebaki tusitegemee kuona anything yenye inaitwa development. Sasa una imagine nchi for the next 2 years ama 3 years zenye zimebaki, nchi itakuwa inaraniwa ni propaganda. Haki tutakuja fika lini Bernard? Unajua we are going to perish. Tutakufa wote hapa. Kikorona kitatoka na huko hivi vile hatujajipanga. Unaona SHA ifanyi kazi, education ifanyi kazi, we don't fund research in this country. Employment now sasa imefika ni ile tu ya tribalism, tunaangalia ID inasoma nini. Nakwambia wewe sasa, in fact hata vile siku hizo wana employ watu outside Nairobi. Kama wewe ni wa sub county unapanga ile, kama wewe ni wa county panga ile, outside this county panga ile. Sasa wa sub county wakiisha wakuja kwa hiyo county ndio wakuja kwa hiyo sub county, kwa hiyo county zingine. How do we develop as a nation kama tutachukua that lane ya tribalism? A country like this, the other day ulikuwa naona watoto huko Baringo hawana viti ya kukalia, lakini 120 million imepromisiwa kwa church. 120 million do you know 120 million Kenya inaweza fanya? Wale watoto wote wenye kubaringa inaweza jenga, tuseme tu the simple structure za mabati na viti za mbao zinaweza fanya vizuri huko Baringo County, bali watoto wanakaa kwa sakafu chini, hawana even pale pengine. Nilikuwa naona wanatafuta mtu yeyote mwenye ako na know-how ya kufunza, anaambiwa kuja class. Nilikuwa naona mama amebeba mtoto kwa mgongo na haja train kama mwalimu, ndiye anafunza watoto ambao wamekaa chini. Unajua developed countries wanaangalia hivi, wanastuka, wanaimagine 21st century bado watu wanasoma chini ya, ama wanaimagine hizi video zilichukuliwa during Berlin conference, wakati ule education na civilization inakuja Africa. Ati hizo vitu ndio zinafanyika Kenya the year 2025. Alafu mnasema mtachagua Ruto 2027. Shuari wa Kenya, shuari Bernard.
Okay, yes.
Najua naangalianga hivi, sometimes naangalia hizi vitu hivi, naangalia, najaribu kusema ni wapi, where could be the problem. Look here, Kimani Ichung'wah alienda kwa Al Jazeera. The introduction to Ahmed, the journalist, alimwambia surely your government, your president is super, alitumia jina super. Yani government, the party, parliament, judiciary, kila mtu amechukua direction yake, ni wizi tu. Angalia Nairobi County. Look at the disconnect between the government institutions. They are not working as one to deliver on people. Ati kama uko na bili yangu na wewe uko na, kama niko na deni yako na mimi niko na deni yako, wewe ukiniomba deni yako na ukali na unizimie stima, mimi naenda nachukua takataka, garbage, na kuja narusha kwa ofisi zako. Shwari, kwani nchi inaongozwa na watu wa gani?
Hello?
You know?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, Lala, we can hear you now. Hold on, as
Okay.
Kenya mmoja anamaliza.
So, sijui 2027 tutaanzia wapi. But if we make a mistake 2027 and we elect the kind of leaders we have now, we elect this government. Now, I'm telling you, Bernard, you'll come to agree with me. Tutakuwa tumerudi 18th century. Ndio to catch up na nchi zingine. Unasikia sasa imefika mahali mtu kama Chris Brown hawezi perform Kenya because hakuna infrastructure yenye zinamfavor yeye kuperform huko. Shwari, wewe niambie. So I think it is high time we need to do something with Ruto. Either focus kwa development. Hizi vitu za church ni vile sijui ni nini wa Kenya wana fact. Churches in Europe, moso England, zimefungwa, zimefanywa kuwa pub. Watu wamefika, kuna mahali inafika, tunaambiana ukweli. Tunaambiwa okay, religion si mbaya, lakini ifai kukuja before the basic things. The religion yuko kwa the first 4 basic things. Yuko hapo. Health system ina collapse in Kenya, lakini tunaendelea kutoa millions of money, tuna inject kwa church. Tunajenga makanisa, alafu ukiangalia public schools, the simple thing, infrastructure hakuna, no teachers. This is wrong, and I'm very happy such channels kama hii yenye tuko nayo itafungua wa Kenya ubongo, waone ukweli wa mambo pale huko. Hizi vitu yenye tunakuja hapa hivi tunaambiwa eti sisi tumejiunga kama watu wa mlima, sisi tumejiunga kama watu wa Kisii, sisi tumejiunga kama watu wa Ukambani. Lengo letu ni kutoa Ruto. I believe kwa hii timu yenye inataka kutoa Ruto from power inaweza kuwa worse even than Ruto. Such politics za tribalism zitatua tena, zinaenda kutuweka kwa mesa yenye tulikuwa nayo 2022 zenye tunapiga kura kung'oa mtu fulani. They won't help us. Zitatuland pale pabaya 2027. It is high time ule mtu anataka kucontest for leadership sasa kuja kwa meza awekelee manifesto yake tuisome na tuangalie how genuine he or she is in terms of implementing what he is promising. Unasikia Ruto aliweka 281 promises, fulfill 14 of them, na imebaki miaka 2. For the last 7 months wameiba 1.3 trillion. Pesa ndio hizo wanatoa kwa church. Before hii Sunday ifike, ile 100 itakuwa imeingizwa kwa hiyo church. Sasa hiyo 120 itaingia. Uliona Kimani alikuwa na pesa kwa bahasha, anajisifu mbele ya waumini. Sijui anaitwa Kimani kitu kama somebody Nguru atatuelezea. Nguru wewe umekaa duniani miaka mingi. Nataka tu nielezee tu, hii ni swali yangu na project kwako. If we continue this way, tutafika 2030 kweli? Bernard, wacha niachie hapo.
So
Nguru alijibu before peana nini kijiti.
Wacha niseme hivi, and I've been consistently telling Bernard, I only hope and pray that the revolution that was started by Gen Zs take root in Kenya and it changes the manner in which we do politics. Because the greatest fear I have, the way I've seen the kind of interactions in the social media and elsewhere, the 2027 elections, if the Gen Z factor does not work to neutralize, it could be the most tribal-oriented politics than we have ever seen in Kenya. And by the way, in Kenya, you have brought out something very good. Do you know, last December, Kasongo called the MPs who are supporting him and gave them each 10 letters to go and deploy whomever they want in their constituencies for TSC. The institutions in Kenya have been killed. We are back to the Moi days when political patronage was the way of running the government. And the message that want to be passed even to the other MPs is that if you don't support me, even your own people will not get what is rightfully theirs. That is a nonsense that we have now gone back to. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Guru. Thank you, Mkenya Moja. We appreciate that. Good observations and indeed soul searching. Lakini Mkenya Moja itabidi microphone yako uongeze volume. Tuni hapa nateta kusikia vizuri. And then if your microphone is low, raise your voice so that unasikika vizuri. Simba Marisaidi hapa anasema Mungu ametukataza tusisaidie kabisa msikiti kama nyumba yetu inavuja. Interesting. Labda Lala naye atatuambia Biblia nayo inasemaje. Lala, how are you?
Good, Bernard. Guru, it's good to see you. Mama Selena, Kome, na Kenya Moja, hamjambo, jamani. Yangu haitakuwa fupi, haitakuwa refu, itakuwa fupi kabisa. And kwangu ni vile nasikia mna zungumza, naona shida. Na shida ni hivi, uonekana tujaenda mbali, get stuck at the initial, because we are talking of this new Kenya, Gen Z type of Kenya, and then at the same time we are using tribal tools to gauge, to believe, to work with. My understanding, even from Gen Z days, was that we all wanted the rule of law, the constitution to work. We wanted to embrace each other, come our Kenya, and we saw Gen Z as the vehicle that could lead us there. So the motivation was not tribal, but still underneath there was tribal undertone there that never disappear. And that's one of the fears that we had, because Kenyans trusted Kibaki. They trusted Kibaki one to give us this Kenya, which is non-tribal. And then what did Kibaki do? Kibaki betrayed Kenyans by going back to the tribal calling. Okay, and that has made people a little bit more suspicious. So it's as if they are fighting, but the tribal card is in the back pocket, and they're telling us they're nationalistic, they are in the tribe, but then tribe is always there. And I'm saying that because during Gen Z time, I think I raised a voice here, and my voice was, let Gen Z get this thing back, and then we go and use the last election as the way forward. At least we were so sure that the winner did not get the seat. So we wanted to go back there. And I was actually scolded for using those terms, because Gen Z had the answer. It's as if Gen Z was going to give us this new utopia. But then when you look at Gen Z, the motivation was great. They wanted the country free, and that all of us wanted it free. But then after that, there was nothing in the front. There was no clear map where we were going. So it's as if they excited us quite a bit because of that purity in which they called us, and they were fought so violently to get us there. But the future was the same as historical ones, that where people are motivated to fight, and then other people, old tricksters, those who know how to play the game, takes over. Okay, and that became very clear because of the funding that was getting in there, the people that were using the young people to get for their own interests. And this was a lot of them were quite naive. They thought their brothers and sisters holding their hands, but there were other forces that are working there. So people looked around, and one of the suggestions that I gave was that at least Baba was there. We knew him. We knew what he had tried to do. We knew that he'd worked hard to get us where we wanted to go. So at least that old man had an idea that would help us where we are going. But to an extent, some of us rejected him, didn't want to hear anything about him. And so here we are talking about a Kenya that is non-tribal, that we can go forward. We need the spirit of Gen Z. But then when you see the arrangement on the ground, they're very tribal. They're still very the same way. Look at the politics of Gachagua and others. They're all all tribal. Okay, look at Kamban, Gikuyu getting together and all these things, organization and all. These are all tribal stuff. Okay, so I think we have to really think hard. And my argument was that if at all we did vote for a president that we knew won the election, and we still have the people, we still have the figures, the data, we still have within these 5 years. If we fail even to correct the problem now, before 2027, then why do we think that 2027 will be a better year? We're going to do better. the election will be fair and free, and we're going to be non-tribal. We are fooling ourselves. I think it is now. My Bernard talked about salvation preaching, and Bible says now is the day of salvation. Don't wait for tomorrow. So I believe that if we are truly serious, then we gotta change things now, look the data now. Let people start paying for their sin. But for us to sanctify others, and then we move to the next stage, and these are the called now reformers taking us forward, I think we are fooling ourselves. And also to trust the Gen Z will take care of it when they have not done much. I think we have to figure out how we use all these energies together to get us to the Constitution and look at the Constitution, where have we gone wrong and who need to be punished, okay? Who need to be, I'm the last person to even support Gachagua. I think he brought us Ruto. They were part of that team. I have question about where we are, even the other team, Ruto side. I can't support Ruto either. But I'd like to support the Constitution. I'd like to support the rule of law. I'd like to support the idea that we are able to go back and look at where we've gone wrong, which I think is possible. It is very, very possible, but we don't want to talk about it. We only want to talk a way forward. We want to talk about 2027. We want to talk about these non-tribal Kenyans. But when you look deeper, there's a darkness. And Bernard would agree with me, when you do marriage counseling, one of the issues that you really want to work on are those buried stuff, okay? Because they will sabotage the relationship. Somebody want to move forward, but somebody has already cheated in the relationship. We can't just say tuache hiyo tu atuzungumze. Lazima izungumze. They have to bring them and figure out how to deal with those issues in the past. Lakini wa Kenya, hiyo ndio shida yetu. We will never go forward unless we choose a moment like this one to look at what is wrong, because we have a structure that can easily call, that we can be able to use, a framework that can help us to make certain changes that can lead us forward. So wenzangu, kwangu bi naona tunacheza tu. And finally, of course, I want to extend the discussion a little bit. We had a disaster yesterday here in the US. You saw what happened in our White House, and that to me was very disheartening. And the other side to it, of course, you know very well how our people are being impacted, those who are on certain medication, USAID and the funding. Our people are suffering, okay, because things were done abruptly. And so I think it's a time for us really to think as Africa, to think even all of us who are not in the government. I think it's a time for us to exercise our role and think of ourselves as Kenyans and come together, minus the tribes. If somebody is wrong, is wrong. If somebody is right, they're right. If somebody needs to be corrected, they must be corrected. But this cocoon where we get back into our little tribes is the problem. And back to you, Bernard.
Okay, thank you, Lala. We appreciate that. And that is the fire we are playing with, which has burned us for 60 years, but we seem not to be learning the required lessons on the same. Mkenya mmoja alisema corona inaweza tokea tena na SHA imeleta kizaza. I saw something like there is Ebola reported in Uganda. That Uganda is too close now. So let our prayers begin to work. Then also the issue of investing in the religion at the expense of education. It is sad that I watched that feature of that Tiati school, and it really broke me. As much as there are politics around what's going on, I think our politics is not helping. If our politics are not for the betterment of the livelihood of the people, then we don't need that politics nor the politicians. And that boils back to the decisions we make at the ballot. Do we vote for quality, or we vote to save somebody, punish somebody? We vote to save somebody or punish somebody. So matters of who carries our aspiration, who has a nerve to challenge the status quo, who can provide leadership so that we have education dealt with once and for all, we have health crisis dealt with once and for all. Those matters don't rise because tumeambiwa tukuje pamoja, tusipokuja pamoja tutamalizwa. Na hii ni kwenda kufanya nini? Kuhakikisha kwamba tunaokoa fulani, tukimwadhibu fulani. Naomba tafadhali kama Wakenya tujirudie, tuanze kuangalia masuala kwa kina. Hakuna dereva wa basi ambaye tuko ndani ambaye mtasema tu aingie kwa sababu ni aendelee kuendesha gari, hajui kuendesha, hajui barabara, haoni mbele, lakini kwa sababu anatoka kwetu aendelee tu kwa sababu ni wetu. Hapana. Let us begin to think differently if you're going to have different results. Kabla nimlete Kome, wacha nicheze hii kidogo tu for breaking shortly. It's less than a minute, and then Kome can come in.
Watasema hapa ni Siaya. Hapa ni wapi? Hapa Ringo mnasema baba afanye nini? Asisikane na nani? Basi, ujumbe
Kome, karibu.
Asante sana Bernard kwa hii nafasi. Acha nianze na mali umewachia kwa hiyo video. Nikisema kwa kizungu kwa sababu we don't even hatujui kujiexpress kinyumbani. The clouds are gathering. Ukiona Sifuna anafanya hivyo in broad daylight, and tunajua kile babu amekuwa akifanya, anakutana na Didi Nyoro, mara ana support Kalonzo Musyoka. The clouds are gathering. Na najua Bernard unaelewa kile anasema. They are getting blacker. Lala, unajua akina Lala wako huko Ulaya. People in the Western Hemisphere, they don't celebrate rain. Sisi tukiona mvua tunafurahi, lakini when they see the clouds gathering, wanajua it's not a good sign. So also Lala ananielewa. Mama pia ananielewa, akiona mvua ni kitu mzuri, lakini hii si ile mvua mzuri. So yeah, let me begin from there. The clouds are gathering. We do not preempt anything, but let me be the devil's advocate today. Let's blame the people around the president. Wanampatia false facts, false figures, because today that was a blunder. Na we all agree. Kupatiana hiyo pesa hapo kwa Mwai, mimi kwetu nyumbani ni Kasarani. Siishi Kasarani, but my parents live in Kasarani. I was born in Kenyatta and blah blah blah, but I know najua what happens in Roysambu and Kasarani and wherever, but giving 20 million to that church is being the devil's advocate. I think that the president was misadvised. That was not the best thing to do. I don't think in a side it helps his cause. I don't think it helps his cause, because this is not how to solve a situation mahali yuko. For a president mwenye alituambia when you find yourself in a hole you stop digging. Yeye ndio alituambia hivyo. Kuizi mpaka watoto wanaweza andika kwa composition. He's the one who told us that saying. And right now he's in a hole, and I don't understand venye aoni kama ako kwa shimo, kwa sababu even the support that he is banking on, ODM, and you see, like we have seen, the clouds are gathering. It is not guaranteed. Number two, Gen Z is the future. See, I don't think anybody who understands what is happening in Kenya will dismiss Gen Z. First of all, Gen Z is not an excitement. Gen Z is an idea. Gen Z is... I was telling some friends of mine today somewhere that Gen Z ni wale... Gen Z are so proud of themselves, first of all. Gen Zs are not ashamed. Naona zile aibu za watu wa rika yangu na juu. They're not ashamed. Gen Z watakuja kama Bernard, najua huwezi elewa hii maneno, but Gen Z watakuja mali mnakunywa pombe ya pesa mingi na waitisha ya pesa kidogo, kwa sababu they want to achieve their end. The end justifies their means. They don't care how you will see them. Gen Z hawana hiyo. Gen Z pia hawataki deni ya mtu, so they will not bite more than they can chew, and they do not expect you to bite waume kubwa kuliko vile ina. Bernard, you remember the first time I came here, before even the Gen Z movement, like a year before, I told you the people who are coming after us, they don't care. And I want to emphasize it today. After it happened, a year later, movement happened, and I had said a year before, and it happened. And even right now, I still don't understand why people are still dismissing this Gen Z. Gen Z, tuko nao kwa nyumba. We have taught them some things, and they have realized that hawataki deni. They want things to be straight. Gen Z's, anybody undermining Gen Z ideology, by the way, this is not a movement or a political formation. This is an ideology. These people have something that they believe, and they believe either tuibe sisi wote ama tunyoroke sisi wote, but they cannot stand ati kuna watu wanakula peke yao. So anybody dismissing this ideology by Gen Z, it is, and things like what happened today in Roysambu, kwa hiyo church ya Moi JCC, that only adds fuel to that fire. People think that we are going back to the events of June 25th, and I don't know. Kuna mzungu alisema the more things change, the more they remain the same, because now we are in March. We are 3 months to June, and you remember last year 2024, at a time like this same government, these same people started annoying people with flaunting their wealth. Murkomen telling us how he's wearing a watch, sijui inatoka pesa ngapi, and people know, among other ways of money laundering, is buying watches. Unaenda unanunua some expensive hapo, unaenda unaiuza Dubai or wherever, because, or gold. So I don't know how did we get to this so primitive. How did we come from that gentleman executive by Kibaki and Wamalwa mpaka tumefika? How far have we gone down? By then ni kama tumeanguka, ni kama mawe inarushwa chini na ifiki. una expect ianguke mahali, lakini inaendelea tu kuteremka, because even the things these guys are doing, hata Moi hakufanya. These guys are so blatant. I mean, I can't even start beginning talking about baba, kwa sababu hatujaiona baba akifanya mambo kama hii pia. This is so low. And in this day and age of information where everything is out there in the people who handle the presidency, wanafaa kumwambia, wanafaa kuwa na data. These people are not even having data. The president is unaware. How can they be caught this unawares? I mean, Bernard, you understand my frustration. Our country,
it is not being caught unawares. It is, remember, he said he has PhD. There is nothing we can teach him. So we are dealing with an administration that knows what it wants. It goes for it, regardless of what people think or want. So we have we call him the Idi Amin approach. Ile akitaka, ametaka, na lazima apate. So ninyi mtataka kile mnaendelea kutaka, lakini mimi time ikifika, kama ni uchaguzi nitaamua vile inaenda, kama ni michango nitaamua vile inaenda, kama ni kushirikiana mimi nitaamua vile inaenda, na muwezi kuniambia chochote. So I don't think that he doesn't have information. In fact, trying to bring that up, in my opinion, is finding an excuse for somebody who has blatantly said in public there is nothing we can teach him. A contrast to Moi. Moi alikuwa halali mpaka amepigia simu kila assistant chief, anajua mtaa upi wanasema nini kuhusu KANU. Before that, he doesn't go to bed. I don't think William Ruto does that. Today he claimed that he called Sakaja and asked him why he's dumping garbage at Steve Plaza, and forced Sakaja to apologize or demanded an apology from Sakaja, whichever way. So Kome, as much as I would want to agree with you, we should understand what we are dealing with. We are dealing with somebody ataki kuambiwa.
Bernard, when I was one of the biggest proponents of this president, and also we tuliambiwa that tuliambiwa that Uhuru was going to be a good president kwa sababu alitoka kwa familia iko tajiri, ako well up, anajua mambo fulani. And he also messed us up. Let's say the truth. Uhuru was not the greatest president we ever had in Kenya. Of course, tuko na title ya Kibaki. So let us not lie to one another. But comparing
Kome, umejimute. We can't hear you.
Nasema nimekuwa na another something to think about sorry, I've been sneezing, ndio nina mute nikisneeze. I think okay, there is that also that issue of haezi ambiwa, ambiliki asemezeki, but still when William Ruto came to be the president, mpaka sisi tukimsupport, he had a very clean record. Alikuwa na streak, unajua kama wale wanajua games. Alikuwa unbeaten, and I think historians will put this to study one day, wakifundisha our great grandchildren ama our grandchildren, how someone who was so organized, so having a very good streak, came to have such a bad outcome eventually. Because the guy was he has never lost an election. And even prior getting to deputy president, we can all say that Ruto campaigned for Uhuru. Uhuru had no chance, but Ruto did all the work. Second term, same thing. Defended that government. Karibia serikali. He fought for himself. He became the president. Then how could something so organized become so disorganized? And usiniambia at the ends justify the means, but this guy was a superstar. And right now it's unbelievable because the guy mwenye alikuwa na masikio yake kwa ground sahi hasikii kitu chochote. Giving 20 million in Roysambu, which is the door to Mount Kenya, was a bad idea. Who advised this guy to do that? That was not the place. That was the place to go to church, be humble, go home. That was not the place to do that. That was the pastor ule wa Mombasa, Alfred Lai, alimwambia, you don't have to show us what you have. That is what Pastor Lai said in Mombasa that day. Then the guy comes and does it opposite. Mahali kila mtu anamwanga. No, there are some places, Bernard, you go, people don't really care about what you're going to say. But kuna mahali watu ukienda, they all want to, they are taking notes. How would these mistakes, let me call them mistakes, because for me, this is unbelievable. I cannot believe what is happening because this guy has been very organized, only to become very disorganized right now. Someone please explain to me what is happening. Hata kabla tuongee siasa, kwa sababu if it, Bernard, this also makes, when some people, you might not believe in witchcraft ama kitu kama mazinga umbwe, but kuna vitu zingine zinatokea mpaka we mwenyewe unajiuliza what is happening. Asante Bernard for the time.
Thank you, Kome. Probably I will, before I take you to Mami, I will I'll give you an example that may not be very whatever likable, but a student who knows how to arrange his books in the cabinet doesn't necessarily mean he has finished reading them.
But this one used to pass exams.
God, which exam did he pass? Mama Selina has told us here who taught William Ruto to win elections. He was a KANU rigging machine. So if Ruto indeed was winning elections, okay, where has his crowd gone to? Where has his supporters gone to? If this is Baringo, and Baringo is sending Sifuna to go and tell Baba not to join Kasongo, okay? And we have dissenting voices right from his village. So his unbroken record of winning elections is questionable. That's why something that we need to go and study and find out. You cannot compare Baba and Ruto when it comes to winning elections, because Baba's constituency is always there. Whether he loses or he wins, he has his people. Where has Kasongo's people gone to? Why is he struggling if he indeed wins elections and he has won the hearts of Kenyans? Mama, over to you.
Okay, thank you. I've said that. Na nafikiri mulisikia jana baba akiongea kuhusu mambo ya election ama chepukati. Wakati tulifanya election ya KANU, kama yeye ni director of election, nikawaambia kompyuta 4 mkikucha china yenyu iko, mkiondoka analete ile yake. Na niliconfirm yesterday wakati nilisikia baba anasema Bomas of Kenya kulikuwa na server. Venezuela ilikuwa na server. Not Norway, where Netherlands ilikuwa na server, kulikuwa na server ingine, na ile ilikuwa inatuma results, ilikuwa inaenda kwa Kamango kwa Venezuela, ndio inatuma direct kwa Bomas of Kenya. Demand Chirchir. Election ilikuwa ya Bomet ya senator. Ilikuwa Brookside something ya Kericho T. Jamaa anajua kufanya hiyo hesabu ya kompyuta. Hiyo hapo ni mahali focus yake inatoka. It doesn't care hii yetu ya baba ya 6 million real people. He knows how to generate vifaranga of computer. And now Kenyans, because we are talking and shouting. And that is why anatoa 20 million kwa Roysambu. You know what, Penat? Wakati atagenerate hizo kompyuta yake ya vifaranga, ile tunaambiwa hawezi pata 50+1, na anajua hawezi peleka hiyo pesa Nyanza, kwa sababu wakisema wachukui, hawatachukua. Wawezi enda Mombasa, lakini Nguru ametuambia hoteli imefunguliwa. Kwa hivyo vile amesema 20 million, utakuta sasa Kasongo hataki pesa, ile watu wanashangilia na kucheka na kufurahi. Hiyo ndiyo anataka face ya dunia kuona ako na watu. Ya achali ati the real thing. Atatumia hizo pesa. Munaenda kupiga kelele, munapatiwa 20 million, 10 million. Yeye anataka ya saa hiyo. Vile hiyo kanisa leo ilikuwa na furaha. Ya hataki kitu ingine, si kura, kwa sababu anajua mahali atatoa kura. Kama mambo ya atutarekebisha mambo ya IPC penalty, vile nilikuambia, we are going nowhere. Na sasa kwa sababu baba anaweza kuwa soft, kwa sababu mwenye anaweza tingisa Kasongo ni baba. Kama baba atanyamaza na amekuwa mzee, watu yake, hii grupu ingine yote ya nani, hakuna kitu wanafanya penalty. Ingawa ni sawa tu. Nikimaliza, kwa sababu sitaki kuchukua nafasi mingi, hiyo ndio Messi ama anaitwa nani, mimi ni nyanya, niko na watoto, niko na wachukuu. Kama una nyanya, uombe Mungu ukue na moja. But kuniita nyanya hapa, I agree, I'm a grandmother. Because I have children and I have grandchildren. So usifikiri ukiniita nyanya umeniabuse. I think you may not see a grandmother, or if you have, you will miss.
It's okay, mommy. Take it easy. Take it easy. Unajua tuko wengi hapa na wengine wana agenda tofauti. Moja hapo ni kuderail sisi tusiongee ile mambo tumekuja kuongea, watusetie yale ambayo wanataka tuyaongee. So some of those things we just need to overlook and focus on why we're here. It is important that we don't go personal. Mdumezi, tafadhali, just drop it. Let's debate, and let's debate on issues, not kuimplicate watu. Ambia huyu Bernard siku hizi amependa kutetea maovu. Sasa mtu anaweza kutoa 20 million kwa mfuko na mshahara wake haufiki hiyo pesa. Kama iko kwa mfuko itakataaje kutoka?
Bernard tuliambiwa moja, tuliambiwa wanaenda kanisa, wana negotiate na pastor. Sasa labda hiyo 20 million ni 5 million. Inasemwa mnapika makoti, inarutishwa kwa baadaye. Hiyo ni biashara watu wamefanya na imekuwa ikiendelea. Hata wakilete milioni 100 wanajua hesabu. Na si mara ya kwanza wanajua.
Understand that. Thank you. Kile nachosema hapa ni kwamba kama pesa iko kwa mfuko itatolewa. Okay, kama hakuna ni vipindi, itakuwa ni vipindi. but kama vile hakuna uhalali wa kutoa hiyo 20 million kwa treasury na kupeana, hiyo inaitwa corruption na pia kama hiyo ni makosa, kudanganya kwamba umetoa 20 million pia ni makosa. So sisi tunapaswa kuchunguza tuelewe hii 20 million inatokanga wapi. Kama inatoka treasury, then we know that is kuibia wananchi. Kama inatoka kwa proceeds of corruption ni contractors. Unakumbuka ile Monday ya Kibaki first Monday in office, kuamka asubuhi anakuta maparastato, heads of parastato wamepanga line, kila mtu na briefcase. Anauliza ni nini? Anasema tumekuja kuona mzee. Ndio mzee, kuna nini? Naambia tunaletanga huku briefcase kila Monday is pesa ya harambee. Okay? Hiyo ndio ilikasirisha Kibaki na kufutilia mbali maneno ya harambee. Naambia kila mtu arudi kwa ofisi na afanye kazi. We want a working nation, not this collecting from different parastatos, different nini zinawekwa kwa store huko State House. Sisi tukikuja kutembea duka limefunguka tunabeba tukienda nayo. Money that is used without being produced, it does not help the economy. And so we as Kenyans, we must begin now not to justify the wrong or to defend the wrong, but stick on the right path and insist kila kitu kifanywe kulingana na sheria. Nashukuru ameongea kuhusu IBC, tutazungumzia hiyo pia, lakini kwa sasa hivi we are taking
kitu moja.
Hold on
ndio uendelee, siongei tena. Ile pesa noti ile ya 1000 ilikuwa imetolewa wakati ya Uhuru, wakati yeye amekuwa rais. Hiyo 1000 tu ilikuwa inasema imewekwa kwa makunia, ilirudi kwa system ama batu ilifungiwa?
Unless there is change of law, hiyo pesa haiwezi kurudi kwa circulation. Na hiyo sheria, muda wa kubadilisha uliisha. So unless walibadilisha kwa magendo after they got in office, but the time had already run out. There are so many things around it, kwa sababu kulikuwa na debate nyingine, alikuwa anataka kubadilisha sheria ndio hizo pesa zirudi zikuwe halali tena, zile za sura ya Moi. So it's something we'll also look at, but hii inaendelea saa hii ama hii pesa inatembea hii, sio ufisadi wa 2017 2015, ni wa hii 2 years. Kumbuka ile pesa ilikuanga ya nini, subsidy ya petrol, ilienda wapi? Ile pesa ilikuwa linda mama, ilienda wapi? Ile pesa ilikuwa ya edu afya, ile watoto wa shule, na kila mtoto alikuwa analipiwa 700. Okay, iko hizo ndio zinakusanywa, alafu and then kumbuka ghost secondary schools nyingi ziko Rift Valley zingine ziko Western Kenya. Ghost secondary school, wewe unaandikisha uko na shule iko na 1000 students, kila mwanafunzi anapewa 23,000. Okay, 23,000 times 1000, na wewe uko na shule kama 7 hivi ama 10 ghost schools. So hii ni pesa ya serikali inatoka ati inaenda kulipia watoto ambao they don't exist in the schools that don't exist, but the PS is under obligation. Hizo kwanza zinatoka kwanza, ndio hizi shule ambazo zingine zishughulikiwe. So the avenues for corruption in this country are enormous. Sioni hata wakishughulikia hiyo pesa waliacha kwa container. Hii ya saa hii na vile wako free, they can walk to treasury and walk out with it. They can demand from anybody and it comes. Kumbuka housing levy haiko kuanga, iko sai. Kulikuwa na hiyo hustler fund haiko kuanga, iko sai. Na kulikuwa na pesa zingine tu hapo za wazee, kulikuwa na youth fund, kulikuwa women fund, and all those funds zilienda wapi? Because they were funded already. This country is in a mess. Just
And still on
let's take a break.
abductees, families and friends of abductees gathered at the AIC Casino Church in Mulolongo today for a solemn service, clinging to hope amid heartbreak. 17 families are still searching for loved ones who vanished under mysterious circumstances during the Gen Z protests back in June last year. Now, as Odie Francis reports, among them is the family of Emmanuel Mukuria, who disappeared on June the 25th. And 8 months later, their search for him continues. Take a listen.
Of agony. That's how long Emmanuel Mukuria's family has been waiting for answers since his disappearance on June 25th of 2024. His mother, Susan Wangare, clings to hope, believing her 25-year-old son is still alive.
Potea na simuonagi na mashahidi wawili nimewahi kupata. Waliniambia wamemuasha Australia Brocoero 8. Aende Australia. Huko ndio niliasha mtoto wake. Juu tulishikwa na yeye, tukakaa na yeye jela siku 2. Ya 3 sisi tukabadilishwa. Tukatolewa huko juu tulikuwa wengi. Na huyo kijana akaambiwa na asimtafute na majina ya kitambulisho. Emmanuel Mukuria aliingia huko na jina Kevin. Hiyo sijui jina ingine ni gani. Kwa hivyo mimi ninaenda na pisha, ninatafutiwa, hapatikane.
Emmanuel is one of 17 who have vanished without trace, leaving families desperate for answers. In Mulolongo, 4 young men were abducted, 2 later found brutally murdered, while Kalani Mwema's family continues their agonizing search for their missing loved one.
Brother yetu hatujampata. Sasa tujui hao wawili wenye waliuliwa wote watatu, ama brother yetu alitegwa, at least tukuje kumuona akiwa alive, ama alipelekwa wapi.
The number of families that are searching for their loved ones stand at 17.
With no help from government, activists are urging the International Criminal Court ICC to step in and address the growing crisis of abductions in the country.
But we as the surviving people who are abductees who survived, mpaka wa leo serikali haijatuita kufanya uchunguzi yoyote. DCI hawajatuita kuja kutuuliza mlikuwa mmeshikiwa wapi, mlikuwa mmeshikwa na akina nani, unajua kufanya uchunguzi. Sisi tunaomba hii maneno iende kwenye ICC sasa. Mambo ya abduction is an international crime against humanity.
They decry the slow wheel of justice, frustrated by the lack of arrest.
A month ago that we had the Mulolongo 4 issue on all media houses, but today it's forgotten. And people are back on rooftop of cars campaigning for 2027. They want to turn the families of the abductees to just voting machines who don't care of the government of the day, what does to their people.
We know that there are files that are presently either with the DCI or with the ODPP. And according to what they have told us, is they have at least 7 files with at least 7 officers who are being investigated.
Emmanuel Mukuria's case mirrors that of 16 other abductees who vanished 8 months ago, as the government remains silent on their disappearances. Ode Francis, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Now, before we dive into that, let me just add on this. This is, I think, X-handle for Maverick Aoko. An expose here, it says, Kenneth Lusaka, Bungoma governor, says, I have information that 6 mercenaries domiciled in Sugoi are abducting and killing critics of the Ruto's regime at Bungoma Stadium at night. Then bodies are dumped at River Nzoia. Mr. Guru, over to you.
Bernard, I would want to start with what Kome said. I want to agree with some of what he said about Gen Zs, but I also want to disagree with him on some issues. He's saying that Gen Zs don't like deaths. Yet you are aware that These are people who are removed from CRB. I don't know whether it worked, but right now we know that the Hustler Fund has collapsed because majority of them took their loans never paid, that we will never pay. So on that, I would want to hear more about that. However, I also agree with him that this is a group of people who can mobilize even in the last 2 weeks of the elections and change the dynamics. They can quickly mobilize and change the voting pattern and say that they are going with this person against the wave of what would have been prevailing at that time during the campaigns. These are people who can quickly mobilize and organize themselves to see that the person they see as carrying their hope, they can vote for that person. We should not underrate that energy and intelligence of these youths, and they cut across the tribal, boundaries. Only we do not know what percentage it is, but there's a mass of youths who have cut the chains of ethnicity in Kenya that we cannot, downplay. The only thing we don't know is what percentage. Then again, Kome is saying that he doesn't know what is happening. We know what is happening. Look at the things that this government has introduced. Affordable housing is full of secrecy, scandals. It is not understood who will benefit from the houses, how the government land can be converted in private, ownership, and so many things. So we do not know who is the final beneficiary of these houses. Number two, look at the so-called healthcare. It's collapsed. They are insisting that it will work. But when you ask those who are practitioners in this sector, they are saying it can't work because the basics are wrong. They are not, they do not mirror the kind of society we have. When you go and ask people to fill forms, and when somebody says that his one-room structure has a cement on the ground, and then you put 1,500 as a rate that they are going to pay every month for health, honestly, you are setting yourself for failure, because that small structure may have been constructed by a good son or daughter, but does not reflect the income of the person. So it is totally impossible for that system to work. And in fact, funny enough, 19 million have registered, but under 4 million are contributing. That is the tragedy of this thing. And then the readers are telling people it is free to register. That's what I've heard Kasongo saying, but he's not telling them that there are other obligations. It's coming out like it's the government to pay when he talks that kind of language. So, in short, that's another failure. Okay, when you look at other things that this government had promised, they have collapsed. They are not taking off. They are rebanned. Look at the education system. The funding model in the universities has collapsed. The courts have declared it unconstitutional. So what we are talking about here is somebody taking the country like a personal bomber, where you wake up and tell your wife, go to the shed, take some 6 eggs and cook for your children, for their children. This is a person whose understanding of statecraft is so low. We've not gotten to this level in terms of poor readership. In fact, I dare say that Moi was even better because Moi used the provincial administration, used other systems at least to bring a modicum of working systems. Here we are dealing with somebody who does not respect systems, does not respect institutions. That's why he can call politicians and hand them letters of going to employ teachers as a way of political patronage, therefore killing the very essence of the existence of TSC, a very, very serious matter. Now, basically, don't say you don't know what is happening. Just say that you know what is happening, but you don't know why it is happening. But Bernard told you why it is happening. It is happening because somebody has put all the government in his head. He wants to run everything. He is because he's got PhD, he cannot be told. He does not delegate. He does not. He has a way. Now look at it this way: we under budget error in this budget that is coming of 73 billion. It is called error, 73 billion in the budget, current one. Today we are shocked by a revelation that 1.3 trillion was, drawn casually, manually, in an analog manner. It did not follow the IFMI system, which has been used by the government for purposes of tracking where the funds are going for accountability purposes. So we are dealing with an animal that does not want to follow systems. Him is running the government like a home, like his own home. Even in some homes, they are more organized than that because they track things. Today, you will wake up and rubbish the systems that have worked for so many years and put his own very poor systems. So today, even we cannot track what we are doing because today, the infrastructure that was left by Uhuru and Kibaki, some of it is going into disuse. The roads are not being repaired. Potholes are coming back. I don't know, Komi, whether you are old enough to know that there's a time you would drive a vehicle and it would disappear into a hole, and then you see something emerge from the from the ground, and you think it's a mole. That is the situation that we are going back to. Simply because I saw the other day they are saying that they want to put toll stations. We start paying for use of highways. This is a concept that was defeated in the court of law during Uhuru's time. There was that attempt. Somebody went to court and said that will amount to double taxation because you are paying for road maintenance through fuel levy. And therefore, when you put toll stations in some of the highways, you are actually overtaxing some Kenyans and actually punishing some pockets of the country wherever those toll stations will be placed. So I saw that there will be public participation. I don't know whether it was done, but finally, people will go to court. This is not going to. So you are finding a government that is very quick in looking for money, but in terms of accountability, in terms of where this money is going, you cannot be told. You can't know. Today, you'll be surprised that most of the counties have not paid salaries for 2-3 months. They don't have money. Money has not been remitted. The school capitation, I saw Buddy say that all the arrears will never be paid. 64 billion worth of capitation of the past years. Now, ask yourself, these schools have accumulated debts of food procured from suppliers, other supplies and all that. So what happens then when you don't pay suppliers who supplied 2 years ago and are still waiting to be paid for the food delivered, for toiletries delivered, or any other materials delivered to the schools? We are grounding to a halt in everything, in education, in hospitals, in the road sector, in the electricity sector, and so on and so forth. It is sad. And in fact, I agree with you, Kome. If this is the kind of administration we are going to have, and I see people excited saying, Sijui, 10 beer break, I don't know why people would hate themselves so much to hope that they would carry on with this administration for another 5 years. Right now, Baba is in trouble. Trouble because when he's gone to the ground, I think he's now coming face to face with the reality of what Kenyans are going through and what they are saying. I don't know, but there are rumors that they are already agreed on some accommodation. We are waiting to see this coming week. But you can be sure that things are not good. It's time to separate the wheat from the chaff. Thank you.
Separation time. All in all, thank you, Mr. Guru, for that. We appreciate it. And interesting times. Interesting times. But my prayer is that Kenyans will wake up and love their country enough to demand quality leadership. The story ya kusema fulani lazima awe ama lazima akue fulani, tuachane nayo. Tuangalie nani katikati yetu anaweza, kwa mfano ile shule Kome ni nani Kenya mmoja amezungumzia. Waliona kuna msichana mmoja hajaenda training lakini anaweza kufundisha watoto wetu. Nani anaweza kufanya hivyo? So tusiangalie tu fulani anatoka wapi anataka kiti. Ana uwezo. Historia yake inaonyesha ana uwezo. Nimepeana hiyo example ya mwanafunzi ile anajua kupanga vitabu kwa desk. Ukienda kwa desk yake imepangwa vitabu neatly. Does that prove that he is able to excel in exams? Is that evidence that he has finished reading all those books and he knows what is in those books? So kuna watu wanaweza kupanga mipango ikapangika, lakini ikifika kwa delivery, they can't deliver because they don't have capacity. And that example is here before Mkenya mmoja aingie. Wacha tuangalie hii kidogo tu, nimetumiwa na nani? I think ni Omar Said.
Uzana bukole, hallelujah. Uzana bukole, hallelujah. Uzana ni mambo, hallelujah. Uzana ni mambo, hallelujah. Uzana maombi, hallelujah. Navanda kinangaye azabi melingayo halo binangaye dambazalina navanda kinangaye azabi melingayo halo binangaye dambazalina yawe pasola lole hallelujah. Pasola lole hallelujah. Bolo lo bali susu hallelujah. Lo bali susu hallelujah. mukati mwa bambe haleluya hosana mukati mwa bambe haleluya hosana zamba bonjelu haleluya hosana zamba.
Okay, that is a video drawing lines between what's going on in Burkina Faso versus Uganda. But Kenya should be on that comparison list. You saw those beautiful houses in Burkina Faso. I understand they are being built for the citizens and they are for free. As we are doing affordable housing that is non-existent, and after it has been built, you need to buy it. But this one says it doesn't want any Burkina Faso citizen going homeless or having no place calling home. So it's building houses for the people to occupy. Those tractors have come to ensure that Burkina Faso will never have food insecurity ever again. Agriculture is no longer at the mercy of the people who like farming. It is a government-led program to make sure that there is enough food for all the people without depending on donors or aid. So it is all capacity issue. You can be in office, you know how to win elections, you know how to rig elections, you know how to stay in office, but you still don't have capacity to lead the country, prosper the country, or even educate your country. Mkenya mmoja, kazi kwako.
We Bernard, unanisikia?
Yes, utainua sauti kidogo, watu wa TikTok wakupata.
Oh, sawa. Sasa hiyo clip umecheza ndio zile vitu mimi nakwambia kila siku that sahi in Africa we have a leadership yenye tunafaa kucopy from. Sahi kila nchi inajipigania. If you look at what was happening at Oval Office Washington, pari Trump na Zelensky walikuwa almost kuenda physical. Trump anapigania, anaambia Zelensky, you have to sign this document and we are going to give you a winning card. The winning card pale ilikuwa wewe sign, sisi tuendee minerals na sisi tutaweka military base Ukraine as a security guarantee. Russia sikuje tena kwako kukupiga. Russia wanapigania nchi yao. The West wanataka kusubdivide the Russia ikuwe into pieces, vile Africa iko in pieces, ndio waweze kuiba mali yenye kwa Russia. Putin amesimama kidete na watu wake. The funny thing is the citizens of Russians hawajui kama nchi yao iko in war with the Ukraine kwa sababu vitu zina run normal. Jamaa amestabilize, amesimamisha nchi yenye the citizen wengine hawajui kama kuna vita inaendelea. Sasa huyu kijana mwenye umeona huyo Traore, huyo kijana by the way ni kama kijana wa Putin, anapendwa sana na Putin. So kitu ya kwanza alipo seize power, kitu ya kwanza alipiga pini IMF na World Bank, aliwaambia sitaki misaada zenu. Na by the time huyo kijana ile miaka yake ilipofika, yenye alikuwa ameahidi military ilipofika ati aachilie power warudi into civilian rule, wananchi waliandamana, walimwambia hapana, shikilia for the next 5 years. Lakini sasa turudi tumulike hiyo sasa na Kenya. Now sasa tukikuja Kenya, unajua mimi naambianga hata wanafunzi wangu, shida moja yenye kwa Kenya ni education. Ruto is a product of our education from kindergarten to the PhD. Can you look at the level of thinking ya huyo jamaa? That guy alichukua power for the wrong reason. You can imagine, jamaa anachukua power ndiye aweze kujienrich. The outcome ni institution hazifanyi kazi. The outcome ni education system inakufa. By the way, do you know the kind of education tunapatia watoto wetu? Do you know the kind of education sahi inakuwa delivered in our universities? Those kids, siku hizi zile vitu yenye ulikuwa unasikia watoto zile yenye tulikuwa tuna attend physical classes, siku hizi haziyuko. Exams siku hizi zinafanywa na ChatGPT. Do you know what that means? Wakati unajua hizi vitu zinafaa kukuingia kwa kichwa ndio upate ile competence, lakini sasa kama mashini ndio inakufanyia assignment, siku hizi wameenda mpaka main exam wanafanya through online. The outcome ni watu hawawezi fikiria. They can't solve even a simple problem. Unapata mwalimu ni wa physics, hata hawezi badilisha bulb yake ya nyumba ikiungua. Bernard, sijui kama mnaelewa Kenya anasema. This is the tragedy the country is facing. Now, look at these leaders ambao tuko nao. These are the people when walipitisha finance bill. Najua ile finance bill ndio ilileta hii shida yenye ya abduction yenye inaendelea Kenya. Wale watu ambao walipitisha finance bill wakafanya Gen Z waka invade parliament. Sasa ndio wamerudi huku nje, wamechukua side, wamechukua the other side. Sasa wanapiga Ruto vita eti ana abduct watoto na kuwaua. Wakati ni wao ndio walipitisha finance bill yenye ilifanya Ruto akaretaliate to this point, anaendelea kuua vijana. Lakini wale watu sasa wanajifanya angels. Wanajifanya sasa Ruto ndiye ako na makosa. Hii SHA yenye ifanyi kazi. Hii SHA ilipitishwa parliament. Hii university model ilipitia parliament. The quality of leaders we elect, even it is the problem. Sasa tunaambiwa the problem is the president. The problem iwezi kuwa the president. The problem inaweza kuwa the MPs, the people who pass laws zenye zinapatia executive power to implement. Hapo ndio kuna shida yetu. The quality of these people. Look, Nairobi wali-elect a governor mwenye haja qualify. What is the outcome? The outcome is employ over 3,000 unqualified employees. Ndio hawa wakati wanakonfrontiwa na bill, wanaenda wanachukua garbage, wanakuja wanamwaga kwa gate yako hapo mbele. So there's something we need, yani sijui tutaanzia wapi. But again, if you have been leadership, si any other, si kitu eti. Mimi nasemanga, kwani mtu unaweza shindwa aje kufanya kazi? This is the question I normally ask myself. Utashindwa aje kufanya kazi? More so when you are empowered. Sasa Ruto anaambia watu that even kesho ukiwasikia hata kwa TV wanasema ati SHA inafanya vizuri kuliko NHIF kwa sababu sasa iko na almost watu 20,000 ambao wameregister. It is not about registering. It is about being an active member. Serikali ina pesa zake. Serikali inatumia zile pesa imepatiwa na wananchi. Umeregister watu 20,000, alafu wale wenye wana contribute to SHA ni 4 million. Umeregister 20 million, 4 million ndo waka active. Surely. Na alafu sasa unakuja na the model itself, ati unaangalia tu mtu unasema huyu hapana, huyu si ule wa kulipa 300, huyu anafaa alipe 1,500, huyu alipe 2,000, huyu alipe 3,000. The outcome, you keep away watu wengi nje ambao wanafaa wa contribute into that basket, ndio tuweze kusaidia wale mmoja mmoja. So hapa sijui tutafanyaje. We need to find the real solution of solving this leadership problem. And there's something to mess as a nation. Look at the constitution ambayo tuko nayo, vile subdivide our country into 47 counties. But look at those counties. Those counties are tribal counties. Ati tuko na Kisii County enye iko na Wakisii peke yake. Do you know the effect of that? Governor akiiba, hatutaweza kumquestion kama Wakisii. Tunajua huyu ni Mkisii wetu anakula. That's how Waiguru alikuwa elected Kirinyaga. Walisema sisi tuna elect mwizi wetu. Saa hii wanaongea mlima, lakini ukienda kwa mlima wanasema, watu wa mlima wanasema sisi ni wa mlima, lakini ukienda kwa mlima unasikia kuna Kirinyaga, kuna Nyeri, kuna Murang'a, kuna Nyandarua. Hizi small units hizi ndio zinafanya nchi hii corruption iko so high, kwa sababu when it comes to accountability, the institutions zenye zinafaa kuacounta haziwezi, kwa sababu hao watu wanapata ile protection ya tribal. If we really need to salvage our nation, we need to go back to that 2010 constitution. Kama watu ni wa mlima, wakuwe na county, tukuwe na county inaitwa mlima. Hatuwezi kuwa county ya Kisii, tuko na Kisii County na Nyamira County. Walitumia formula gani kutu subdivide hivyo? Na remember, these divisions ndio zimo Africa. Look at what is happening in Congo. Eti Congo kuna tribe yenye iko Rwanda na ingine iko Congo. Sasa eti ile ya Congo inakandamizwa. Sasa inabidi hii serikali ya Rwanda ingie Congo isaidie ile tribe ya Congo kupiga serikali ya Congo. Bernard. We need lazima tutafute the core, the root cause of the problem facing Kenyans. Mimi kwanza naona inaweza either ni constitution ama ikuwe ni education. One of those things. Because hata si Ruto peke yake anaiba. I'm telling you, nchi inaibiwa kuanzia the small. Anybody mwenye akona authority kidogo tu anaweza access finance za government ni mwizi. Wengine wetu hapa kama mimi nasemanga napiga kelele kwa sababu sijapatiwa hiyo authority ya kumanage resources. Otherwise mimi naweza kuwa mwizi mbaya sana. Hiyo inatoka wapi? When you see people
umeanza confession, umeanza confession.
No, you see, you are trying to look at things. Unajaribu kuimagine where could be the problem.
The problem is unajua wizi tunasema such as I have give ID. Kama wizi hauko ndani yako, hata tukupweke kwa ofisi wizi kuiba. So wizi hautokani na resources. Wizi ni kama dhambi. As long as it is in you to do. Even if we put for you like we say what? An animal that is on heat, okay?
Yes. Yeah.
The bull will cross the fence. Weka fence vile unataka, it will still cross. So the constitution is not the problem. The problem is we have a wrong attitude as Kenyans when it comes to public resources. We even don't respect public resources. Tunaamini kwamba public resources ni opportunity. Ukiangukia beba. We don't hold anything for the public. Ukipewa tuseme like kitambo mashamba ilikuwa kama shamba ya shule inakuwa kwa trust. Okay? Mna trust the either our parents ama PAT inatoa PTA. Hiyo Parental Teachers Association. Hao ndio wanakuwa shamba la shule nzima inakuwa registered in their name and they will protect it. But siku hizi unafanywa chairman wa hiyo ndio unaanza kugawa, mzee mmoja achukue ya chini, mzee mwingine achukue ya chini. Hii na shamba ni kubwa sana, watoto watachezea huku juu, sisi tuanze kukula huku. So si ni wale ambao tunataka kuharibu vitu vizuri ambavyo vinapaswa kuwa vinalindwa kwa ajili ya Kenya. And that's why we are the Traore's example. Okay, a young man focused with a vision for his country being picked from third world to first world within the shortest time possible, and see what miracles is performing.
But you know what?
The resources in Burkina Faso cannot compare to the resources that are in Kenya. If our annual budget is equivalent to 10 countries, 10 or 8 countries in Africa, Kenya alone, that means we can do much better than Burkina Faso if we only had leadership that wants that done. But we don't want it done.
Bernard, what Traore did, kitu ya kwanza alicut budget ya politicians. Alafu ngine alivunja baraza la mawaziri, akaweka jeshi hapo. Alafu aka increase salary ya civil servants in order to empower them, empower their purchasing power. Unaona? That's why kijana anapata results. Yeye anakula salary ya captain. Ile yake na alikuwa anakula huko kwa military, ndiye anakula as the leader of the nation. Sasa hebu kuja huku hivi. Our MPs, our politicians are the highest paid in the world. Hapa kuna kizungumkuti. And to make it worse, they are the only politicians in the world when you want to determine their salary. Unaweza imagine mtu anasema leo ntaan 10 million. Those are our politicians. And those people ni kazi gani wanafanya? Wajilipe hivyo. Yes, good.
I want us to begin to land. Let's do this. Mkenya unafungua chapter nyingine ambayo ni kubwa sana, lakini in summary I will say this: our problem is corruption, and corruption that is state sponsored. Wabunge kujilipa mshahara ama wabunge kulipwa mshahara kubwa ilitokana na executive kutaka kucontrol parliament. Your parliament is fanya oversight ya executive. Na hii kwanza jana, hii sio kazi ya Ruto. Hii kazi ilianza na Jomo Kenyatta mwenyewe. Wakati alitaka kucontrol bunge, akaanza hiyo marupurupu na hiyo masuala mengine. Then it began to build from there. I still believe, I belong to your school of thought. Watu walipe mshahara kulingana na masomo yao. Kama uko job group A, na uko kwa bunge, mshahara wako utadeterminiwa na bunge, unakuwa determine na job group yako.
Correct.
Wewe mtu wa D+, unalipwa mshahara ya D+. Mtu wa C+ analipwa mshahara ya C+. Hii masuala mengine ya kujichanganya hapa ati mheshimiwa, sasa mheshimiwa hauna makaratasi, huna masomo, unalipwa mshahara kuliko daktari. Watu wamesoma vitabu, wamemaliza vitabu vyote shuleni, wewe unataka kulipwa mshahara kuwazidi, ati unaitwa mheshimiwa.
Kabisa.
So that's unfair system is born out of our corruption, and corruption that emerges from State House. That is where our mess is. State House wanting to control the judiciary, they buy it. Wanting to control parliament, they buy it. And then they are not buying it from their own pockets. They are buying it from treasury. Then the collapsing of executive and treasury. That is the beginning of all our troubles. Until the day we remove treasury from executive, we will never handle corruption in Kenya. As long as at executive inaamua bile pesa inachukuliwa na inagawa from treasury, and parliament has no say, we will never handle corruption in this country. Let Treasury be an independent body, far away from any of these, the three arms of government. Ili executive ikitaka pesa, inaandika application. Then we have people who look into their proposal. Is this valid? No. Is it valid? Then kila mtu, kama vile education ina apply, judiciary ina apply, parliament ina apply, executive pia i apply. So that we have a finance docket that is not controlled by any of this. Then utaona kuna mtu atataka kuwa rais kwa sababu kuna hela huko. Unaona kila mtu sasa anataka kuwa governor. Ndio Senate sasa itabaki mbumbumbu. All the people who can talk well, do policy properly, reason out, they all want to revert to become governor. Kwa nini? Huko kuna hela. Kusimamia hela. We have a huge problem as a country. I agree with you. But a journey of 1,000 miles begins somewhere. A single step. So let's take the step of, first and foremost, denying people who don't have character into leadership. Tuwanyime kabisa, wasipate nafasi ya kuingia kwa ballot. Hiyo tu, mtu akipatikana na scandal yoyote, iwe ya kuku, iwe ya hela na hela ya umma, anyimwe nafasi ya kugombea kiti. Si etagombea kiti alafu tuseme watu wangu wamenisimamia. Umepatikana na hii, ulikuwa umeiba shamba la pipeline, basi you don't qualify to vie for any public office, because public land will be endangered if you are in power. If we enforce that, we'll clean the country. But sahi will still look for something to justify it. Now, naomba hivi muda umeyoyoma, nataka tuanze kufungasha. I can't stretch myself beyond where we have come. So I want us to begin to wrap up. Na nataka kabla Guru alikuwa amenua mkono, lakini nataka Koome upo? Okay, Guru can jump in. Inaonekana Koome anajipanga.
Yeah, I just want to make a small summary on your way. And the summary is this, that there is enough reason for the Gen Zs to mobilize. First of all, what they demanded for has not been achieved in terms of changes in administration and in the institutions, and there is nothing that's in fact, if anything, the things they demonstrated against are being brought back, like the church donations and so on and so forth. Number two, what our friend here, Kenya, has said is what one lawyer last week tweeted, Donald Kipkorir. He asked why an MP should earn 1.2 million per month when our doctors merely get 40,000 after going for 8 years in college, and an MCA who got an E is earning over 400,000, and had suggestions that this remuneration be brought down to 400,000, with MCA taking home 150, so that you can give our teachers 150 and our police constables 100,000 or thereabouts. But Bernard, we have a country that has become a captive of a very small group of politicians who defend their perks and their privileges by manipulating the society, so much so that even the society does not know the right or the wrong. Because the truth of the matter is that those people are living way out of the current state of our economy, and they know it. Worst of it, they have perpetuated the CDF kit, which is an important thing, yes, but it is actually an encroachment on the executive arm, because who oversights the implementation of projects? So when you see MPs fight so hard for CDF, it is because they want to exercise political patronage, they want to get part of the money into their pockets, and so on and so forth, which is bad governance. So I believe and trust that what the Gen Zs started can still be achieved if they stay on course, such that even if they were to align themselves with old politicians, they must go for principled leaders who will listen to their views, transformative views that can change the whole scenario away from what we have right now. Because what we have now is a small group of politicians who are holding the country captive. And now they have gone to a level of destroying even the institutions so that they can run roughshod on us. And then because they want to perpetuate that, they now use tribalism, a very emotive issue, so that they can maintain themselves in power and achieve power. Not unless we cut those chains, this country will stay for a long, long time before we realize what we call true change and the third liberation in terms of economics, because that's where we are now. We are fighting for economic liberation, where our institutions work, where people are facilitated to create wealth, where people don't take advantage of government systems, where fairness is exercised, where people do not kill our institutions for personal gains, like is happening now. I understand some people are bringing sugar and packaging it into look like it is local sugar, but killing the sugar farmers. And these unscrupulous trade practices perpetuated by people in power, if we do that, our country can move much faster in terms of development than it is doing right now, and it will create so many jobs across the board. And there is no doubt about that one. But unfortunately, up to now, we have not found that kind of a leader. What we have are dealers. People want to make more and more and entrench themselves and compete in terms of who has more. That's the problem we have, Bernard. Thank you.
Certainly true. Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Guru. And we'll be engaging further on the same. I'm hoping in the course of the week to bring that Pastor Kelly. And we are finding somebody who is in Congo so that we'll address that issue. Nani was bringing up, Kenya Moja was bringing up this Banyamulenge and the Mzalendo who are fighting in Congo and why. But we are not far from the same because of our current situation in the country. Our relationship with our neighbors is not what it used to be. I think you saw Murkomen in Turkana. They are looking for bodies of fishermen who are shot dead by the people from the neighboring country. And they are doing investigations, and claims are the first people to shoot were Kenyans. So our border relationship is something else. I don't know if Kome is back, but I wanted to bring this in just to think over it as we come to discuss it in the next show. There is this, I don't know how true this is, but if it is true and it came from the mouth of this man, then it's very sad reality. Look at this. This is Minister for Environment, former Minister for Defense, Bwana Duale. He says, we will issue over 3 million refugees in Dadaab and Kakuma with their identity cards and absorb them as Kenyans. Let them participate in the elections and key decision making in the country. They will live in Kenya. The US allows the immigrants to vote. Adan Duale. So this lifting of vetting is geared towards that. Yes, yes, Guru.
Dennis, Bernard, the figures that are often given even by the UN of the refugees in Kenya, in total, have not even reached 1M. It's about 800,000, both Waria and people from Southern Sudan. So where are the 3 million adults coming from? I'm talking about figures that are given by credible international organizations, those who are registered by the UN and refugee, It's important we interrogate some of these figures, even if they were to absorb them. This is an exaggeration. There is no 3 million, not unless there is something hidden that we are yet to tell what it is. And if it is true, then it is also very sad, because we are now introducing a similar problem like the one that is there between Rwanda and DRC, because those people will start electing people of their own in that community. They will start kicking indigenous politicians out and voting their own. So they could plant a seed of conflict, serious conflict, not just in Kenya, but first and foremost in the local area where these people will be registered, because they will be determining who becomes what, one way or the other. Those are the problems.
There you go. And of course, when that happens, when you hear Duale talking like that, is to open a room to convert the 800,000 to 3 million. Where will they get the difference? People crossing the border and being admitted in the Kakuma or wherever. And since it's government sponsored, what happens? So the really betrayers of this country and the really sellers of this country are the desperate people in power. And if that continues and the parliament does nothing, the judiciary does nothing, the army plays along, then Kenya will just become an extension of another country. We will cease to have Kenya as we know it. Moi did not play with the borders. Kenyatta did not. Kibaki did not. The only place Kibaki compromised was Migingo. He didn't come strongly on the same. But if this is how Ruto chooses to go about this, then we are done. Well, unless kuna mtu anataka kuongezea kitu, naomba tumalizie hapo. Mama najua ameenda. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's call it a day. Let's link up again in the next show. I believe we'll do much better. The boys will be around, so sitakuwa najisukuma. You see, I've started sneezing. Baridi imeanza kuniingilia. So naomba tafadhali tukutane tutakapokutana. Keep at Sound Candy Talk, share the video widely, subscribe kama hujasubscribe. Kura sijui umepigaje, lakini naona imeenda vizuri. Ubarikiwe, tuonane tutakapoonana.